Better get the coleslaw, y'all, because we're having us a barbecue.
Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need to let everybody on social media know that the stream is currently on the air.
Hey, Ann. I'm about to go on the air. Hold on, Sean.
All right. Okay, with everybody on social media knowing that the stream is on the air, I'm going to go into some perfunctory before I introduce my special guest. Now, the SJS Direct 2026 catalog will start on March 27th with the first book, John Haynes, A Offer He Can't Refuse. And this book features a cover by iconic artist Des Taylor, who has done fantastic art of Marvel and DC characters. And as I saw his work, I definitely wanted to get him to work with him again. And this isn't the first time I've worked with Des Taylor. The first time I worked with him was with Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer's cover, and I just had to work with him again to see SJS Direct characters done in his style. And you can pick up this book with the fantastic Des Taylor cover on March 27th on Amazon.com in paperback, or you can wait for get the Kindle version right now by pre-ordering it on Kindle because it's going to be exclusive to Kindle Unlimited. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get John Haynes An Offer He Can't Refuse for free if you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription. And after March 27th, you can head over on April 17th and pick up Isis Runway of Doom, which features a fantastic and colorful Bill Walko cover. And this book is where the goddess next door enters the world of fashion as a lingerie model and has to walk the catwalk and take on 4 deadly glamazons in this action-packed Isis series adventure. And this book is available for pre-order right now on Kindle and will be available in paperback in April 17th. And you can get your copy of Isis Runway of Doom right now by pre-ordering for Kindle, or you can go and pick up the paperback version, or if you have Kindle Unlimited, you'll be able to subscribe for this book for free. And the third book that will be coming out is Esteem a New Woman, and this book will be coming out on May 15th, but you'll be able to do your pre-order right now because all 3 of the SJS Direct 2026 books are now available again, all ready for pre-order, and you can pick them all up on Amazon.com for pre-order on Kindle, or you can wait for the paperbacks on March 27th, April 17th, and May 15th, and all 3 of those books will be available for you to pick up. And this is the second year I've been able to get all the books out on time before they were supposed to be released, and I'm really happy that I was able to meet that goal for a second time, even though I did have a heart attack in last year in July. And as I was recovering, I was working on these books, And as I was recovering, I was trying to get everything together. And I thank God I was able to get these books together one more time. And I also thank God that I was able to, again, start my recovery. And I've hit a milestone as related to my recovery in finishing my cardiac rehab. And now I'm on my own trying to get my health back together. And part of getting my health back together is trying to get back to a regular schedule as related to not only publishing books, but also looking to go out and do regular shows. And part of doing those regular shows was I was starting to do shows with different guests. Like last year, I had Kevin Grievu on for the first show of the year. And I had a great conversation with Mr. Superboy, and I would love to have Mr. Superboy on once again. And I also did a show, I think, with Mr. Chris from Chris and Company, and I'm glad to have Mr. Chris back here with me. So how are you doing, Mr. Chris?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. And yourself, Mr. James?
I'm doing fine. So I've had a very rough last year, and I'm trying to get myself back together. So I wasn't able to do the shows with you like I used to, and I wanted to know how you were doing as related to your broadcast.
Well, I put my broadcast on hold for quite a while, and because my daughter Najma Bennett Walker passed away on November 8th last year, 2025. And then less than a month ago, my stepmother, Emma Bennett, passed away. And so, I have been just getting my thoughts together, getting my mind right, and, taking time out to reassess my focus, reassess my drive. And, during those times, especially when my daughter passed away, that moment was way bigger than me in the sense that I couldn't really grieve the way I wanted to because my son was grieving, and she has siblings on her mother's side of the family. And so I needed to be that rock in moments like that. And so, with that, I really hadn't had the emotional time to really grieve. I mean, I've processed that she's gone, but at the same time, I haven't grieved. I have not grieved to the point where I've gotten closure. And you never get closure with your child passing away, because I expect my child to bury me instead of the other way around. And so at the same time, if I start crying about my daughter, my son's gonna cry, my other family members. And so, it's just one of those moments where I just had to grieve alone and grieve by myself. I briefly want to talk about Miss Emma Bennett, my stepmother. I don't really care much for my other step parents. My mother was married. My mother was married to a loser, a piece of trash. And then my father, his second wife, I don't think much of her, but he got it right the third time. I guess three's the charm, huh? So they were married for 30 years, and she was a very special lady. When my mother passed away, she stepped up, she stepped in, and really, understood. She had a natural ability to understand people, and I understood why my dad married her. My dad he's old school, he's stubborn. I mean, he is the second coming of Fred Sanford. Yeah, so And if she was able to tame him, that speaks volumes. Him and my mother, man, they were volatile, very volatile. But them two, it was like Beauty and the Beast, and she was definitely a beautiful person. Now, not only on the outside, but definitely on the inside, and definitely a woman of substance. And that's something that's missing, today. Women of substance. And I know you've seen some of my tweets, and I only give it back to those who provoke me. One of the things that really irk me in today's society is that to see good people, decent people, nice, genuinely nice, spirited people no longer being here on this earth. And it's like, it's so not fair, right? And it's like you look in the mirror and it's like, damn, what what needs to be done to keep good people living, keep good people living longer than the assholes out here, and it's one of those answers that it's one of those questions that can't get an answer to, and it's just one of those questions that you just keep in your head, like, wow, here's my daughter that had her entire life ahead of her. She was going to be a speech therapist, and she was going to be a literal therapist, and she also was closing in on her double major in education, and yet to have all of that taken from her, and there's no, it was nothing I can do, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's the most frustrating part. The helplessness or holding on to hope, right? Yeah. And that's what I did. I always held on to hope to the point where, okay, daughter, Dad's got to go. I'll talk to you later. All right, Daddy, I'll talk to you. And, we make that phone call, because she was living in Atlanta. And so, it's just, I don't know what to say. And then you log on to social media and you see what you see, unfortunately. Yeah. And I just we can't let losers win. I think that's why I act the way I do. We can't let losers win.
No.
So this thing with nice guys finishing last, I think that's such bullshit. I really do. Because I'm a nice guy, but I don't finish last. I refuse to finish last. I refuse to lose. And we need to call bad people out on their bad behavior. We do. And I stand by that. Yeah. So anybody that follows me on Twitter, buckle up. Because I get after the white supremacists. I get after the Pookies and Ray Rays. I get after these selfish, modern female losers out here. I get on them with their garbage.
Yeah.
No, okay. Go ahead. I thought you.
Yeah, you go after them, and I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry for the passing of your daughter. That really, I know that hurts, because it's like losing a child is not something anybody wants to ever think about as related to things, and then to lose someone who is close to you like a mother, it's a lot to go through. So I understand, everything you've gone through, because I had to deal with it with my sister passing in 2020 during the pandemic, and I lost my father in 2017. So I know that it's hard to go out here and still try to maintain your composure and try to stay with that composure, because the emotions just overwhelm you, and you try to hold it together. It's the toughest thing to do.
But the thing that really gets me with my daughter passing, I was there when she was born. I was at the hospital.
Yeah.
When she was being brought into the world. And that perspective makes it even that much more painful. And so when dealing with loss, families passing away and stuff, it hurts. Yeah, absolutely. It hurts. But losing your child is it's a level of pain that is unique. That is unique.
Yeah.
And I want to save some of this for Chris and company when I come back this coming Wednesday. One of the things that was very profound was how my brothers and sisters, how my siblings handled it. And my siblings, they were real. They weren't distant, but they were scared. Like some of my siblings, their children have health issues. And, when the passing of my daughter happened, and me calling them and telling them, yes, Najma is no longer here. Though the days after that, Sean, they were very hesitant. They were, I would hear their conversations like, yeah, I talked to my daughter, I talked to my son, make sure they are okay. And I would, I told, especially my sister, I was like, hey, you don't have to feel like, walk on an eggshell. You talking to me about your child. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be as fine as can be. And there's no one there's not many people that can relate. No, it's one thing that I can relate with someone that their mother passed. I can even relate to someone if their stepmother passed. I can relate if a niece, a nephew has passed away. I can relate to that. But a lot of people can't relate to, man, you lost your daughter. I know what that feels like. It's not the same, man. Especially when people haven't lost their children. It's like being stuck. It's like you're at the finish line and you just fell into a La Brea tar pit and you can't move. Because that person that's talking to me, they haven't lost a child. So they don't know. And then the conversation turns to get to be, I don't want to say awkward, but maybe a little wonky. And then it's like, look, we can change the subject, because I don't want that person to have to feel uncomfortable consoling me. And so, I don't know if that's strength. I don't know. I mean, what would you call it, Sean?
I don't know. I maybe call it resolve. I mean, it's a lot to hold to get yourself together like that.
Yeah. And so, if someone wants to sit down and talk to me and they want to say, hey, Chris, hey, keep your head up, I can relate with all of that. But when it gets down to, well, I never lost a child, so I don't know what to say, I just stopped the conversation. I stopped the conversation, be like, hey, look, you know what? Let's change the subject. Because you haven't experienced it. And I can handle the fact that the words that person has said to me, the kind words that person has said to me, that's enough. That was enough. And, I thank them. I thank them for their support and their kind words. It's, there's not a long line of people that I know that be like, man, I lost my son. I've been there with you. I lost my daughter. I've been there with you. And so it's You know, it. I guess you're right. Resolve. I think I would like to say wherewithal. Wherewithal, like, you know what? Let's not make this awkward. Let's not make this. I understand what you're getting at, and and thank you, and thank you for those kind words, and just keep it moving, because I don't, especially with people that I like, you don't want weird and chalky conversations, when someone is, being sympathetic towards you. And so it's just like, you know what, I understand, thank you very much. And hey, and kind of take the conversation, into another direction.
Yeah, be the best thing to do sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Because where's it going to go? Right?
Yep.
Right. The person has already said that they sympathize with me, but they don't have a lost child.
No.
So there's only so far of that conversation it could really go. Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't, hey, it doesn't make, how do I say this in a very polite way? It's best that, hey, thank you, and talk about something else, and, and have the conversation going, because believe it or not, conversation helps. Like what's happening here tonight helps. I have not been on this mic for almost 6 months. I haven't. I did a promo, but I have not been on this mic for 6 months. And so, with everything else going on in my life, life still, unfortunately, life still goes on, right? I still got to pay the rent. I still have to pay bills. I had to get the car. I had to get the car tuned up and maintenance. It doesn't stop, unfortunately. And because of that, you find yourself, you find yourself like, itemizing what's a priority today and what's not a priority today. Or if it is a priority and you didn't get to it today, be mindful of it and get to it tomorrow. So those are the things that, and yes, I know this is with everyday people, but think of it along the lines of losing a child, losing another family member, and being there for your other child who's also going through a loss, because my son just lost his older sister. So, people who have been through this, who have lost a child, and they still kept moving in life and still were being successful in everything. I get it. I get it. Like, man, we always talk about having obstacles thrown our way in life. But what about the obstacles we don't see? What about the obstacles that we don't calculate in our brains, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at personally. And I am more withdrawn. I interact with people even less. I had to fly back to Cleveland back in January because I had to take care of some business pertaining to my daughter. And it was cold, it was miserable, but it had to be done. And my family seeing me, it kind of felt like it kind of felt like, in a way, man, Chris, we're scared for you. We're nervous for you. And I had to reassure my family that I'm okay. I had to reassure my family that I was going to be okay. Now, what does okay look like? Okay looks like this. Okay looks like that I'm not the only one hurting. I'm not the only one grieving in my family. This is bigger than me. And because it's bigger than me, as my role as a grown man and as a father of another child and an uncle to many of my siblings' children, that they're all hurting too. And with that, being the man that I'm already am, and then to be in a place where me showing strength is key. It's key. What is that saying? The man upstairs don't put more on you that you can't handle. Well, because I'm not a religious guy on like that, I look at it like this, that maybe, unfortunately, fate saw that I could handle something like this, and I'm handling it as best as any man in my position could handle it. And so, because my daughter wouldn't want me to be this way. I could hear her country voice now. Daddy, I wouldn't want you to be like that. You don't have to be like that, Daddy. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be all right. She was that kind of girl. She didn't always tell me, Najma, she didn't come out and say, she was hurting or anything like that. She would tell me, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And she wasn't. And when I got the fateful phone call from my baby's mama that she had passed away, I was equally as numb emotionally as I am numb telling you about it right now, Sean.
I can only imagine. It's just hard.
It's really hard, like I just said earlier.
Yeah.
It's when you have friends that are there for you, but they don't know what it's like to lose a child. And the conversation gets to a crescendo where it just gets to be a little wonky. And then it's like, look, thank you for being there for me. Thank you for being there for my family. And, hey, we can talk about something else or we can end the conversation. That's really where my mindset is at that point, because she's gone and she's not coming back.
Yeah.
So anybody who's grieving over loved ones, think of how they lived. Think about how they would want you to live, even though they're no longer living. And I know that might sound a little bizarre, but hear me out on this. You listen to a person long enough, they're going to tell you, who and what they are. And, my daughter was one of those people. Hey, don't worry about me. I'm going to be fine, Daddy. Don't worry about it. Don't be. And her mother told me the same thing. Oh, she's not going to tell me if she's hurting. She's going to just say, I'm all right. And then when I get to her, I find out that she's not all right. Okay? And it's like, here we go. Now, and so that's a good trait to have. And here's why. Because as I'm able to process my daughter no longer being here, I know what she wouldn't want me to do. She wouldn't want me to be overly sad of her passing. And yet, even though I am very sad that she's no longer here, I know that she doesn't want me to be that way. I know it sounds, maybe I didn't say it the right way, but what I'm saying is, even though she wouldn't want me to worry, that helps with me pushing on and moving forward, because I know that she would be happy that I've continued my life even though she's not here. My mother was that way too. You know, my mother was that way when she passed away in 2013. So, dealing with something like this, nobody grieves the same. For me, my grief is more from a level of what I know about the person. What do I know about my daughter as a person? My mother, my stepmother, and so with these people that have been positive influences on my life, strong-willed women, they would want me to live my best life.
Yeah.
And so that's what puts a smile on my face, because I can say, hey, Ma, I'm doing it. I did it. I did what I said I was supposed to do. Hey, daughter, I did it. I did what I said. I did what I said I was going to do. And with that, that makes me happy. Yeah. It makes me happy in spite of the circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. You really want to live to be an example for them and be honoring them. That's what you would like to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if anybody, I haven't been in the chat, but if anybody has lost someone really special, that made an impact on your life, I just want to say, my condolences to you and your family, because we just don't know. We don't know when our lives are going to no longer go. And I would say that if you care about the person that's no longer here, continue doing the things they would be happy that they would be happy what you're doing. My mother, for instance, my mother would be happy to know that I'm broadcasting. My daughter would be happy to know that I was still broadcasting, right? So keep doing those things. I don't think they would have liked it if I get into Twitter beefs, but still, but at least I know what they would be proud of me of and what they wouldn't be proud of me. And so, that's the way you go about life when someone that you love that had an influence on your life, that's what you should go about moving on. And so, it's one day at a time. It's 1 second at a time. I was watching a wrestling video today, and something reminded me of my daughter. Boom. I shed a couple of tears, and then I focused right back.
Yeah.
And so, can you see why can you see why I wasn't on the air for a while?
I understand. It would be too much.
Just getting the words together, right? And trying to piece it all together on your child being no longer here. Man, like I said, nobody wakes up in the morning, like, oh, my child's no longer here. Here's how I'm going to handle it. Doesn't work like that.
No.
Well, unless you're a deadbeat parent and you don't like your child. But even then, but even then, you still approach life where you don't give up on your child, right?
No.
So, yeah. So, I mean, you don't have a thing where, if my child's no longer here, this is how I'm going to handle it. I hope you don't. I hope you don't think like that. No. And so yeah. No. And yes, am I saying that life isn't fair? You goddamn right it's not. It's not fucking fair at all. And yes, life is not fair. It is not. It is not. And yet and still, remember, same people that are no longer here, if you care about them, then you will try to live your best life the way they would want you to live your best life. Sean?
Yeah. Yeah, they would want you to live your best life, and they would want you to go on and be the best person you can be. That's the way I always saw it after my father passed away. I always wanted to try to work to be the best person I could be because I wanted to honor him. And that's what you want to do whenever somebody who's really close to you winds up passing away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My father's still alive. He's 85 years old, and he's going strong. And so, once again, right? He lost his grandma, he lost his granddaughter, and he lost his wife within months of each other. Right?
Yeah.
So you don't think my dad's not hurting? He's hurting too. So yeah. It's bigger. It's bigger than me. And yeah, it's easy to be selfish and go back to that sunken place, right? It is.
Yep.
But then I think of my son. My son, he has a fantastic job now. He works he went back to driving trucks, and he's a truck driver for a construction company. So he's kicking butt and taking names, and he's getting up every morning, going to work, putting his best foot forward.
Yep.
Well, how do I look like, sulking, this, this young man, and there are no other siblings out there, Sean. There are no hidden children. There's no one night stand where a woman is going to come back and be like, Mr. Chris, you the baby dad. No, none of that, because I didn't live my life that way. So, so my son has no more siblings, and yet he gets his ass up in the morning and he goes to work and he puts the time in and he's knocking it out the park. If my son can do that at age 27 years old, then I need to be applying myself. You see where this is going, Sean?
Yeah, I see where it's going.
Yeah.
Because if they can do it, you can go out here and do it too.
Most absolutely. Most absolutely. I just want to let everybody know that when Sean, when you was going through your issues, and you had the heart attack last year.
Yeah.
I was numb then. It's like, I don't, do I say hi to him? Do I wait a while? And I made a decision to wait, because I know you have loyal viewers and listeners, and I know they're going to reach out to you once you have made the commentary of your physical condition.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, let me just wait, because me and Majika, we were like, Chris, she was like, Chris, here's Sean. He's talking about, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? So, I got on YouTube and I saw you, and I was like, man, I didn't know. I was frozen. Like, should I call him or should I, email him? I didn't know what to do. So I waited a while, and then I just, I think like the second or third time you came back, I sent you some money. I sent a donation to you, and
thank you.
Yeah. And I had sent you a donation to you while you was talking about your health condition. And so, everybody don't respond to everything the way other people would respond.
Yeah.
And that's important, right? Now here's me, Mr. Chris on the Chris and Company radio show. Get on the mic and I can talk a streak for 2-3 hours, 4 hours even, at one. And yet I froze up when I saw my colleague have an episode, and just like, do I reach out to him right now? Do I wait? It's like, and so I get it when other people, when they approach me, right? Like, they don't know what to say, they don't know what to do. I lost my daughter. And it's like, I just let them know, hey, it's okay. You can approach me. I'm not going to bite, oh, thanks, Chris, man. Cause I didn't know what to do. And, I could, I'll control the temperature in the room so that nobody feels awkward. Nobody feels out of place. Nobody feels like they got to walk on this, this emotional set of eggshells. And it shouldn't have to be like that. And yet everything I said, I approached it that way when you was when you was going through your health issues, because I didn't want to do anything that would come off or appear as if like I'm stepping on toes or I'm invading somebody's space.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately on how these things happen. Right?
Yeah.
No. And so for everybody out here who's listening to us right now, if you wait to give your condolences to somebody, if you wait to give your sympathy towards someone, don't feel bad if you did, right? You know, if that person asks, hey, how come you didn't come to me sooner? Just explain it to them. I didn't know how you would feel. I didn't want to come off, being pretentious or disingenuous. I didn't, it was my way of trying to read the room. That person should be able to understand that you had the very best of intentions.
Yes.
And so I am going to talk more about this coming Wednesday. I also am going to talk about how politics within my family can get a bit tumultuous. I guess that's a word that I can. I guess that's a good word to use. And even when people die in your family, it could also get political. Yes, it can. Oh, you wasn't there for that person. Now all of a sudden that person died. You here? What makes you think ... That's political. I know it may not come off that way, but it is. And I'm going to discuss that this coming Wednesday. Hey, Mr. James, let's take a break and play the quick promo that I sent you.
All right, I'll put that on. No, and I'll put that on.
Okay.
Just gotta hit the right tab. Okay.
I've been off the air for a while. There's a reason for that. The reason I've been off the air is because of family. Families are complicated. When you mix politics with it, those same families can go beyond complication. I'm going to explain why I've been off the air and what my family has to do with it. This will be the most personal broadcast that I have ever done. Please tune in.
Okay.
Yeah. That took me a while to do that because my mind was here today, gone tomorrow. So, there'd be days where I'm drinking my coffee and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, I'll get around to it. And then don't get around to it. And so, yeah, man, it's my journey has been really, really hard. And
yes.
What was that, Sean?
Yeah, I was just listening to you. That's all.
Yeah, man, my journey's has been really, really hard. It really has. And yet I'm just gonna plow through it, man. Yeah. Think of it this way. Remember walking to the store and the sidewalk hasn't been plowed at all, and you're walking, it's like 8 feet of snow on the ground, but you still make it to the store. That's what this is like, man. I think that is the easy way, I can say. Because She listened. She listened to Chris and Company. Yeah, she did. And she said, "Daddy, I love how you say things. What, you don't think I cuss too much? Well, we could talk about it, but I had no problem with it, Daddy." But I do, like I said, I'll be back on the air 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Pacific, this coming Wednesday on www.niceradionetwork.com. And so tune in for that. That's going to be a very special episode. I may do a back-to-back broadcast too. Stay tuned for that. I won't know until that day, but I may do a back-to-back broadcast. There's something else I want to talk about. I want to talk about Michael B. Jordan and him winning the Oscars. I did a company commentary about Michael B. Jordan way before him winning the Oscar. Did you ever get to listen to that, Sean?
No, I didn't. I have been so busy recording stuff.
Okay.
Maybe I barely have.
Okay, maybe I'll send it to you. But anyway, I did a company commentary on him, and one of the things I said is that Michael B. Jordan keeps winning and winning. And yes, he needs to be celebrated even more. We need to be talking about Michael B. Jordan next week. What he did and how he did it was first class. He won the Oscar basically the hard way.
Yeah.
And yet the movie Sinners was undeniable. Undeniable. It was a movie from start to finish. All the dots connected. Now, because it was about connecting the dots, it explained why the movie was 2.5 hours long. But that's okay. Because not only the movie made sense, the dots were connected. It was more than just a horror film. It talked about cultural appropriation. It talked about the dangers of cultural appropriation. It talked about, believe it or not, it talked about being where we are now. What's the word? We're gatekeeping our culture, right? We're delineating. That's the word, delineation. And that's what the movie literally said. The message in that movie of Sinners was simple. Black people, start delineating. Start gatekeeping our culture. It's okay if some people come in to be part of the culture, but they must be willing to go through the struggle. That's why the mixed girl, the half black, half white girl that was in it, yeah, she's for the culture, all right, but she knows what comes with it. And she was willing to pay that price, and she did. She ended up paying the price. But not everybody is aware of that. Not everybody has that self-awareness.
No.
And it's like what I said. It's like what I said about, the passing of my daughter. Being self-aware that is not just me that is grieving, that is empathizing, that is sympathizing, and everything that's going on. And so the movie Sinners It literally broke. It was the perfect movie of this age, hands down. And even the haters cannot sit there with a straight face and say that Sinners was a garbage movie. They couldn't do it. From the lighting to the tone of everything going on with the juke joint, with the twins picking up the actor that can sing. That brother can sing his ass off too. He sure can.
Yep.
And the lighting, what was going on at that time. They had the Chinese family had a whites only store, and then they had a blacks only store. Like, this literally happened back then, and tied it all together. It was beautiful. But another thing that Michael B. Jordan did is that he leveled his whole personality to a level where, you know what? Lori Harvey, at this point, she might as well be a ghetto gagger in a club somewhere. Because
she'll be historically known for fumbling one of the greatest black men in history.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes.
She fumbled it.
Yeah. Yes. And the internet, the World Wide Web, is eating her up for it. Eating her up. And she deserves it. But there's a lot of women out there that they deserve the smoke. They sure do. Because here's my daughter who did everything. I won't say she did everything right, but the major things from a moral perspective, she did right. She was in love with her college sweetheart. Then they got married and, then had my granddaughter. And they had their own place. They had their own house. They had their own dwelling. And my son-in-law, fantastic young man. Fantastic. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this with ego. Mm-hmm. If more women were like my daughter in the sense of getting them a good man, getting them a nice guy, and marrying that nice guy, their lives would not suck the way it does now. Now they're the vampires. Believe it or not, the modern women are the vampires that the movie Sinners talk about. Want attention, need attention, make it about me, take everything, give nothing. Instead of you owning up to your ways, instead of being honest about your shortcomings, you rather play the victim like that woman, I think her name is Lorelai or whatever, when she called him corny and he pretty much put her in check for that. And what did she do? She went on an all female loser podcast and talked about she was the victim. You can't make this stuff up. You can't, Sean.
Nope.
Simply cannot make this stuff up. And that's the same playbook that white supremacists do. For instance, there was a guy, he called me the N-word with the hard ER. He sure did. And he made a meme. Oh, now you know me. You know Uncle Chris ain't gonna stand for that. So I clowned him. All right. And so he had the nerve to say, oh, so I guess you get off being a troll and trolling people like me, dot, dot, dot. And it won't be, the last you hear from me. I guarantee you. Now, wait, hold on. You call me that word and you put it in a meme. And you think I'm going to sit by and just let you do that? So you're okay saying it, but you can't take it when I give it back to you. And so, I made a meme of the guy, and it was vicious, yes. But I do it all over again because bad people need to be called out on their bullshit. And I'm a firm believer of that. The moral of tonight's broadcast is simple. When you're dealing with assholes, give it back to them. Because if they don't, they're going to continue doing it to other people. Now, I've just had to sit around and watch 2 good people die. 2 fantastic people. If you were to meet them, Sean, they would be cordial. They were, oh, how you doing? You a friend? You a friend of my daddy, or as in my stepmother? Oh, you a friend of Chris's? They would treat you with the utmost respect. Do you hear me? And these good ladies are no longer here, and yet we live in the society where we got these crackhead vipers out here that they seeking the most attention, trying to sleep with all the men they can hook up with that are quote unquote high value. And they don't do nothing to work on themselves. And then when you call them out on being irresponsible, being inappropriate, then they want to turn around and be a victim because they'd rather be the victim than to hold themselves accountable. And so, yet again, Lori Harvey, the Lori Lie girl or whatever, she changes her hair color every week. They will never get a man like Michael B. Jordan because they're not woman enough to have any type of moral and character substance to be with a man like Michael B. Jordan. And so that's the problem. And once again, you know where I'm about to go with this, Sean. I don't talk about stuff like this on Chris and Company because just like you saw in that promo, you saw my equipment, the microphones, the wires and everything, my broadcast office, my studio office. We as Black people have more pressing issues than people who are against our community. That's what needs to be discussed. Every now and then I'll check out O'Shea Duke Jackson. He's kind of funny acting, plays both ends against the middle kind of guy. He gets it right more times than not. But I check him out. Sean Blazington, he is absolutely hilarious. Sean Blazington, you got to check him out. He's hilarious. And I'll listen, kind of, half-assed what's going on in the celebrity stuff, but I never talk about it on CNC. Maybe the Saturday night special, but I don't do the Saturday night special that much. So, it's like, okay. I'm gonna talk about this. And so when when I hear you talk about it, you speak my language because guess what? We're close in age. We're both from the same generation, from Generation X. We are the versatile generation, meaning that we were raised in the old school of things, but we've adjusted to the new school of things that are of the technology age. And so with that, we're the last generation that's really had the best of both worlds. So when you talk about these children of the corn type chicks like Lori Harvey and these modern ghetto gagging gizzards out here, these birds out here, I listen to you more so because you get it. You absolutely speak my language, literally. And so it's like I don't need to do a Wednesday broadcast on talking about this because Sean got this. Sean got it. The other Sean Blazington, when I listen to him, he got it. And really, for every one episode you do about that, you'll do 2 episodes what's going on in the world politically. Then you'll talk about the comic books, the writers or publishers or anything comic books that you're interested in, and so you have a good balance. You have a good balance. Maybe one of these Fridays we'll talk about some comics because I love the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk is my favorite superhero, and I hate the fact that the MCU has pretty much cut the Hulk's balls off. They
nerfed him. They turned him into a beta male.
Yes, I don't like Mark Ruffalo playing him because he brings him down. Like nobody believes that Mark Ruffalo can walk into a room and just walk up to somebody and punch him in the face. He doesn't have that. He's the surfer dude. He's the dude that hops the clubs with his buddies. Like what is that movie? Night at the, what is that?
Roxbury.
Yeah, Night at the Roxbury. Yeah. Like he could play one of those characters.
He's the guy who goes to the club and then he leaves with no phone numbers and he's stuck with an ashy dick and dry balls.
Perfect. He's that guy. Like nobody takes you serious, man. Nobody takes you serious. Like Bill Bixby, he just had that it. He's the perfect Bruce Banner, right? I think we all agree with that. He's the perfect Bruce Banner. I think the next person that knocked it out the park was Edward Norton. Ed Norton, he crushed it. He crushed it. Mark Ruffalo, it's like, oh gosh.
I just don't believe him as Bruce Banner. He's too soft.
Yeah. Eric Bana kind of he's he's not a punk, but it's like, I don't know, it just something wasn't there. It's kind of, and that Hulk, I call that Hulk the Brock Lesnar Hulk.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly, my nephew called it out. He was like, Uncle, I was like, what's up, nephew? He said, this Hulk looks like Brock Lesnar. Killed it. Just killed. He buried him. Burial. So I call him the Brock Lesnar Hulk. And it's just like, I I don't know. I think that was more of an Ang Lee problem than it was Eric Bana. So
yeah, it's the same thing that's happening to Buffy now. That they got this art house director, and it wasn't a good fit.
No, it's not. Yeah, it wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good fit. And so, here now, I'm about to drop one on you. You know who should play Banner? Are you ready for my suggestion?
I'm ready.
Daniel Radcliffe.
That would be a good fit.
Yeah, Daniel
Radcliffe. The acting skills to pull it off.
Yes, he has to lose the English accent. If he can lose the English accent, all right, and he can kind of be like David Banner, Bill Bixby's Banner was. He could pull it off. Like
that tormented and having that humanity, because that's what made Bill Bixby's Banner great. That he just had this humanity, and he was just this tormented guy.
Yeah, and I think he could pull that off. And not only Daniel Radcliffe, I think he could pull that off. He has the range to do it because the source material is relatively easy. That's why I don't understand how can Ruffalo screw it up. Well,
Ruffalo's not that good of an actor. He never was that great.
Oh God, he's just.
Only thing I liked him in was 13 going on 30, and even there he was beta.
That's what I'm saying, man. He's a cuck. I just don't. He's a cuck all the way, man. It's so I Daniel Radcliffe, going from Harry Potter to Bruce Banner, that's a hell of a reach, but I think he can pull it off. He already wears the rim glasses. He already has that professor look, so he already got the scientist / professor look going for him. I'm telling you, he would be a natural. He would be a natural. Like, he would have to screw it up bad if he couldn't play Banner. So yeah. So another thing too, leave Black Panther alone. I don't want to see Idris Elba taking Chadwick Boseman's place.
I don't think anybody could take his place. Chadwick Boseman was just he was Black Panther.
He is Black Panther.
Yeah.
And I don't like the fact that Damson Idris is playing him. Like, let it go, bro. And after now, Michael B. Jordan just won an Oscar. Nobody's going to see that movie. It's going to bomb. And then you've got the Lori Harvey connection too. Nobody's going to see that movie, man. Nobody's going to see it. If the MCU, you heard it from Uncle Chris first. If the MCU puts that shit out there, they put that hot garbage Black Panther 3 out there with Damson Idris playing the new Black Panther, nobody's going to see it. It's going to get crickets. It's going to bomb. And then you're going to destroy the franchise.
I don't think they should have made a second one.
No, they shouldn't have made a second one. But they can't help themselves. Disney can't help themselves. The MCU can't help themselves. I don't know why the MCU has all this confidence in the Russo brothers. Yeah, they're from Cleveland. Spectacular shit. But there's nothing spectacular about them. That's why I don't get why they get so much free will in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't get it. I scratch my head. Is there some politics behind it? Do they got, are they blackmailing some of the higher ups at Disney for them to constantly be making these shit movies? Like I can't figure it out. But going back to Michael B. Jordan, that young man, he's been through it all. He wasn't accepted in the hood because he wasn't hood enough. That goofy Lorelai chick, whatever her name is, said that he would take his headshot with him. So what? He wanted to be an actor.
He was looking for work. That's what working actors do. They go out here and they take the headshots with them.
Yes. And so here she is being pumped and dumped by athletes and rappers. And yes, it's true. Go look it up. She had been pumped and dumped by athletes and all that because she thought that spreading her legs was going to get her to the big leagues. Unfortunately, that's how modern women think. That's why they continue to lose. That's why they will never pull a real man like Michael B. Jordan, my nephew from another mother. Thank you very much. There's a way, like him, people move. And clearly, he's gotten a lot of sound advice.
Yeah.
From his parents, from his siblings, other male role models. Because clearly, he's a good listener. You know how many guys have been where he is and fucked it up? Will Smith.
It's like Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
Jonathan Majors messed it up bad.
Yeah. So did Will Smith. He messed it up real bad too. He's a joke. He's a pariah. He can't be taken seriously with any of his projects now.
Yeah. Will Smith beta. He let everybody know he's a beta. So he lost all respect. He lost his whole face.
Right. Because he allowed a woman to take his dignity away from him on live television. Can't come back from that, son. Can't come back from that. No. So, yes, I'm going to say it again. Nice guys do finish first. You just got to know you got to know how to finish. There are times you could, because two things can be true. You could be a nice person and let somebody go. You could be a nice person and cut that person loose. You sure can. It doesn't take away from your character.
No.
Hey, you're looking at the reality. You're looking at something at the reality of your situation, and you're saying, you know what? This is not working between you and I. And for the better part of me, I no longer want to be in this relationship because it's not growing, it's not progressing, it's not going to the level, it's not evolving. It's not evolving to something more pleasurable, something more uplifting, something that motivates me. It's not there. And that's how you do it. Yeah. Because if a woman comes around and say that Michael B. Jordan is a loser because he's a nerd or he's corny or all of that, I'll show you a whore. I'll show you a female that has bad judgment. I'll show you someone who has nothing going for themselves and is trying to find someone to hook up with them just by spreading her legs. See, my daughter, she came across a very nice guy. And that nice guy he wasn't some dude in progress. He had a 4-year degree. He currently serves in our military he currently serves in the military. And he takes care of my granddaughter.
It's an honorable man.
Sir, what was that?
I said he's an honorable man.
Goddamn right he is. You goddamn right he is. And women will slit each other's throat to have someone like my son-in-law. In fact, at the repast, Majika was telling me that there was a couple of females at the repast that were being friendly, quote unquote, with him. They were being a little too friendly. And I chuckled. I said, let the sweepstakes begin. But I know he's not focused on that. He's not, come on. He's not focused on that. So, and before how do you know? How do you know what he does? I talk to him. Yes, I talk to him. In fact, I owe him a phone call as we speak. I owe him a phone call. Yeah. And he's a focused family man. And so, yeah. He has been with a woman of greatness, my daughter. He's not going to be in no rush. He's not going to be in no rush. Turn around and get married. Yeah, none of that works. My daughter's irreplaceable. My son knows that. My baby's mama know that. And her husband knows that. It's more than just me, Sean.
Yeah.
It's bigger than me. So let that be a lesson that good people that are no longer here, they're hard to replace. They're hard to replace. And in fact, I would say irreplaceable. Irreplaceable.
Yeah, that's why you got to appreciate people while they're here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want people to go away thinking about this. I want everybody who's listening to this broadcast, including myself, I want everybody to look themselves in the mirror. Go in your bathroom or anywhere there's a mirror in your house. Look yourself in the mirror and say, have I been the very best person I can be? And say it. Look at yourself in the mirror. If you say no, that's good. Because that means that you're not done growing. When you stop growing in your mind, that's when things become problematic. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. If Michael B. Jordan, he's 39 years old, Lita. He accomplished the pinnacle of his profession at 39 years of age. They can never take that away from him. He is an Oscar award-winning Black American man. Excuse me, foundational Black American man. Ghana and that clown ass comment, those losers have been making all. He's got it. No, he's not. He cleared up where his family comes from. So that kills that argument, Tethers. But like I said, good people do win. Do they win enough? Yeah. Probably not. That's okay. But if you're going to win, win big. My daughter's a winner. She had a fantastic husband and a highly energetic daughter. Michael B. Jordan, winner. He had a movie that white folks couldn't stand. White people couldn't stand that movie. And yet, they had to be brutally honest. That was a great movie. It had a great plot. It sent out a very strong message. And had they been sitting in a director's chair, they would have been pushing that movie to get an Oscar too. So yes, winning, even if you're no longer here or whether you are still breathing, winning should always be in the front of your mind when dealing with challenges in your life. And that also means me too. That also means me too. I didn't know if I was going to be ready tonight to talk. But I made myself with brute force to get on here tonight because I needed this, Sean. I needed this. I really did.
You did.
And I'm glad that you shared your platform for me to come on and to discuss why I wasn't on the air. I'll get into more details Wednesday. I'm gonna talk about my brother-in-law, my sister's husband. He's still a Democrat, Sean.
Sad. That's sad.
Yeah. Well, they flew down here to Arizona to see me. And we had some interesting debate. Yeah, we had some interesting debate. Yeah. But he's still a Democrat, and he's still holding out hope that the Democrats are going to do something for us black folks. I can't make this stuff up. Listen, I did something real simple. Now, Majika was laughing her head off because she knew I was going to do. She knew what I was going to do. So I did stuff like this, Sean. I said, yeah. So remember when Congress voted on having a Charlie Kirk Day? Remember that crap?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm like, yeah, you know about this Charlie Kirk Day. Now, Majika can't stop herself from laughing because she already knows where this is going to go. I said, yeah, look at Congress right now, wasting time talking about a Charlie Kirk Day, right? And he said, yeah, those Republicans. So just Republicans? He's like, yeah, those Republicans, they don't, those racist MFers, they don't give a damn. And I'm like, really? Just only them? Well, yeah. Democrats, they don't want to vote for no crap like that. Listen, okay, Sean, I already had the votes. Okay, 90 Democrats voted for a Charlie Kirk Day. 90. I printed it off. Majika is laughing the whole time. She's cracking up. She already knows where this is going. And I took a highlighter and I said, here, there you go. Now, granted, I agree with him. All right? I agree with him. But he thinks that the Democrats are our buddies and pals. And he saw that, right? I said, yeah. I said, now what does that say? Okay, 90 Democrats voted for Charlie Kirk. 90 Democrats voted for Charlie Kirk Day. Yeah. Well, you got to understand that they've got to work together. Oh, how does Charlie Kirk Day, a guy, a scumbag piece of garbage that talked about black folks, demeaned black folks, tried to insult the intelligence of foundational black Americans,
was obsessed with black folks.
Yes, he was.
The last words out of his mouth before he died was black people.
Yep, sure was. And black people and gang violence. Those were his last words.
Yep.
And he started squirting out of his neck. But the thing is, 90 Democrats voted for that. And then he's like, well, that's how they need to get things to work together. Y'all don't understand. What do you mean? Who's y'all? He's much older than my sister. But he's one of those old head dudes that think the younger generation, anybody younger than him, don't know shit about politics. That's where he comes from. Okay? So when I debate with him, I have to make sure that my research is sound, not just factual, that is irrefutable. Because if not, then he'll go on some tangent like, we don't understand. How could you don't understand politics? I do understand politics. I really do. So I had a question for him. I said, how does that help black people? How does this Charlie Kirk Day benefit us? Where do we benefit from it? Well, see, they've got to work together. Instead of coming up with something of a tangible answer, he started whining and pissing and moaning.
Deflecting.
Right. And Majika was laughing her ass off because she already knew how I was going to handle it. And like that. And if you don't, so he wanted to know who I voted for in the election. I voted for the couch. That's who I voted for. I voted for my local elections, my county and state, my elections dealing with the city, county, and state. But I didn't vote for president. No. Both of them are losers. Cackling Kamala and Dumb Donald. So, you know what they're going to tell me? If you didn't vote for anyone, then you don't have a voice. I said, bullshit. Now this is where I got annoyed. You aren't in no position to tell me that I don't have a voice. Goddamn it, I do have a voice. I serve for the United States Marine Corps. I put my life on the line so that you could be squawking this gibberish about what the Democrats are going to do. Well, I serve too. Yeah. And something along the way you got lost. Because in your mind, you still think that the Democrats give a shit about us and it's all Democrats good and Republicans bad. No, they're both bad.
Because he didn't see what Joe Biden said in 2020 to all the black leaders. Just that flew over his head. Yeah. He told us to work with the Hispanic community.
Yeah. Blacks need to work with Hispanics. Who says that?
And who did the Hispanics vote for?
Right, they voted for Trump, dumbass. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make the idiocy up. And tell me I don't have a voice. I put my life on the line for this country. You don't get to tell me that I don't have a voice. My service is my goddamn voice. How dare you? I put my life on the line to serve for this country. All because I wanted a better life for myself. Hopefully my family will benefit from my success, which they have. And so how dare you say that I couldn't, that I don't have a voice because I didn't vote for those two wharf rats running for president in 2024. They're both were garbage leaders. And Trump's more garbage now than he's ever been, but it's fantastic. He's a bull in a china shop, and all we foundational Black Americans need to do is just sit back and chill out. And that's what we've been doing. We've been delineating. We're not coming to save you. We're not coming to help you. You're on your own. And it sucks to be all these ethnicities that have been talking trash to us, talking down to us, disrespecting us. It sucks to be you right now. Because one thing Orange Head did get right, foundational Black Americans, we are descendants of slaves. Yes, we are. My father's side of the family came from Kentucky. And not my great grandmother, but my great grandmother came from the South and moved and relocated to Cleveland. And then that's how my grandfather was born. My grandfather had my mother. And then my mother had my brothers and sisters, and then me, because I'm the youngest. So I ain't trying to hear that BS. I know where I come from. And my great-grandmother lived to be 99 years old, Sean. She got a letter from George H.W. Bush before she passed. So, yeah. And we're covering, so my great-grandmother alone covers 100 years of our family tree. That's badass. She outlived my grandparents. Don't come to me talking about where I'm from, because I'm from here. Damn right. So I have every right. I do have a voice. And I am going to speak my voice. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be more, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be more vicious on the air. I don't know. But one thing's for certain. Just like with the death of my daughter was bigger than me, the whole thing of Black Americans delineating is also bigger than me. And if I have the wherewithal and understanding that, then that means that I may not be as selfish as I come off, right? I might not be as selfish as someone might think I am. Maybe I don't take myself way too seriously, because I still have the understanding that what we do in life, for the most part, it's not always about ourselves. And when you understand that, you are doing something for the community. And that's what my mother and that's what my daughter would want for me to do. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
I'll have more this Wednesday when I talk about my family. I talk about the politics. Yeah. And it's something, and I know if you are right here listening to this broadcast, be like, man, I've got family members that be tripping on me on how I think about things. You're not the only one. You're not the only one. Now, I'm a firm believer that family members talking about politics should always keep it in a very respectable manner. I don't think family members should fall out because of a person's politics. But didn't that happen to a lady where her father killed her because she's a Trump supporter or something like that?
Yeah, Mad Black 80 did a whole video on that.
Oh, wow.
British guy killed his own daughter over an argument over the Orange Man.
My God.
That's typical of white folks, that their feelings get in the way of things.
But you want to kill your daughter because y'all can't
Over a
agree.
rich guy who wouldn't pee on you if he saw you in the rain.
You mean pee on you if you was on fire?
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, like, wow. And I lost my daughter to brain cancer. You know, there's just horrible. Look, people, you know what? There are horrible people in the world, and they need to be called out on their bullshit, and they need to be let known that they're horrible people. But that father is a horrible person. Horrible person. And he deserves all of the vitriol he gets. He better protect his butthole, because I don't think they're going to be friendly to him once he gets to prison. I'm just saying.
Well, they didn't charge him with anything. That's the crazy part. White people, that's what they do. They can do anything and just get away with it.
I forgot. It's England. It's Medio England. They don't punish their own.
That was in Texas. It was a white guy. The white guy was from England. He was living in Texas.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. And no one pressed no charges on him, even to this day.
Prosecutor gave him a pass because he was white.
Jeez. Ah. Yep.
If he were black, he'd be in jail right now. But
you think? You think? Yeah. Yeah, he'd be in jail. Under the jail. Under the jail. You can't make this stuff up. I'm looking at the comments here. Computer robots. Hey, what's going on, computer rob? I would love to man, if I was to interview Michael B. Jordan, I'd probably hyperventilate. Oh my gosh, Michael B's coming on. Michael B's coming on. Because he has accomplished so much. He has accomplished so much.
I mean, he's had 2 signature roles and an Oscar, and he's done a lot.
Yeah. And
many people would love to have his career.
Yeah. He said, don't forget, D. Wood says, don't forget about Walter Johnson, Mr. Tenderism. No, I won't talk about him. And here's why. He does too much shucking and jiving for me. And what I mean is that when people were trying to help him get from under that white owner that was exploiting him, he didn't want to leave at first. Now, people had been doing back-to-back commentaries on him. What's his name? Keith Lee, or I know his last name is Lee. I can't think of his first name. But I guess the food critic was supposed to give him, he was going to give him a $4,000 tip, and it turned into this big brouhaha, and the white boss took the money and all this other stuff, and he still stayed there and didn't leave. And then the blowback got so big that he went on and left. Then the guy turned around, the white guy turned around and trademarked tenderism, whatever. Trademarked, and then went through all of this. Like, he didn't fight for himself. A lot of people fought for him. And see, that's problematic. Because I don't, if you're not fighting for yourself, why should I fight for you? Right? So then he ends up getting his own spot where he's cooking, and then he let that muscled up monkey Tether come in and start dancing and jiggling and wiggling. Like, dude, you got to get your shit together, man. You're just out here acting like an old fool. You can't have guys like that. You want to be taken seriously as a real serious cooker, a cook that can barbecue very well. Okay, you can't, you just can't have goons like this in your establishment. Hey, I want to eat your food, and then I'm going to act a fool and start dancing and ooga, 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 acting like I'm Donkey Kong and all in the video, and I want you in it. No. Because people are going to associate you with that coon Tether monkey punk that always in the videos eating a whole bunch of food and then start dancing like he's, start dancing like an electric rod got shoved up his ass. You got to be careful about the company that you keep. That's why I call
Professor Black Truth has said, and that's what I know from personal experience.
And what's the name of my broadcast, sir?
Chris and Company.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. You got to be careful about the company that you keep. And this asshole running around like this. Yes, and I was highly critical of him, and I said something on Twitter about it. And then you got these ignorant coons out here talking about, dang, man, why don't you give the brother a break? No, because he's older than my father. He is old as my father. And he's out here bojangling, tap dancing, shucking and jiving, acting like a fucking fool. And tenderness, and so he has to earn my respect. Respect is earned, it ain't given. And I'm glad that tendernism is doing good, but I don't respect him. And if it wasn't for the entire community coming together for him, his ass probably be out of a job now. Like, there's a time where you got to turn it on, man. He don't have to play the game anymore. And it's like he misses it. He's missing the shuffling, shucking and jiving and cooning and buffooning. Cut the shit out. You're too old for it. You're up there damn near my father's age. And my father don't do that crap. But you are? He should have told that monkey face maggot, hey, man, take that bullshit somewhere else. If you want to buy a rib dinner, fine. But I don't want you in my establishment, acting like a retarded monkey on crack. Not in my establishment. You got to protect your brand, man. And tendernism don't seem to be. And here I am. I'm 55 years old, and he's old enough to be my father, and he's acting like a child. My son don't even act like that. So no, tendernism has to show me respect. He has to show Uncle Chris, Mr. Chris, respect. He has to show me that he's someone to be respected. But right now, nope. He got to get his shit together. And you got to be careful of the company that you keep. So no, tendernism don't do it for me. He's too busy tap dancing and all that dumb shit, and he needs to get out of that. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, Sean, but I'm telling you, the stuff that I've seen this guy do, I'm not down with it, man. I'm not down with it.
Well, I'm not down with anybody who's out here being a clown and tap dancing and acting a fool. Not with that at all.
Okay. So yeah, that's so you know exactly where I'm coming from. Like,
Yeah.
he's just I want him to do well. You know, don't get me wrong. Don't get it wrong. I want him to do well, but it's hard for me to take him seriously. And I don't take him seriously. He needs to do things that are more mature. He got to stop clown. He got to stop allowing clowns to come into his establishment and try and bring down his establishment.
Because that's your business. That's a reflection of you. And if you let people come in your business and act stupid, it's going to make you look like you weak and have no control.
Exactly. And so he got to get it together, man. You know, like I said, he's got to get it together. Outside that, I don't have a problem with him. You know, it's just, you know, you're an old fool, and it's sad. You know, you the type of dude that Jason Black be talking about. No niggas, and you one of them, unfortunately. You know, yeah, great. You know, the community came together. They made sure that you have your own establishment and you're a good cook. But dude, you got to carry yourself better, man. And here's the thing. If I've got to carry myself better, you better goddamn sure know that he definitely has to carry himself better. Now, think about that. So this ain't one of those things where, you know, I'm not mindful of things that, you know, I say and do, but I know one thing. I'm not going to have no goofy clowns around me like whatever his name, that Tether that be going in the restaurants and start dancing. And he really think he's doing something special. That's it. It's like, that's the thing about, I wish I could have Majika on here, because Majika said something that's very profound, Sean. And I know we're gonna wrap this up. She said, "You know what's wrong with the internet, Chris?" I was like, "There's a lot wrong with it." He's like, "No." She was like, "Yeah, but not the way you're thinking." I said, "Okay," and you know, I'm like, "Okay, enlighten me." She said, "The internet is too cheap. The internet should cost more, so people like, well, you know, the dancing monkey that goes around and be dancing in restaurants, they shouldn't be able to get on the internet. Like the internet should cost more, so some people just can't afford to get on the internet and act an ass." I said, "You know what? I think I might be all for that. I think I might be all for that." She said the internet is not expensive enough and it should be more. But she had a point. You know, because it's just too much of that. You know, I mean, it's too much of that. Okay. You know, here we are. We live in a society where good people are passing away and dying that have left great marks on society. And yet we got that muscle-headed Tether going around, going into establishments and acting like a gorilla with a cactus stuck up his ass. I mean, it's just, you know, and you know, tendernism don't need that type of company around him. And so no, he has to do better. He has to do better. But with that being said, somebody who don't have to do better because he's always doing good is you, Mr. Sean James. It was good seeing you. I'm glad you had me on here tonight. I feel good. I feel motivated. You know,
I'm glad that you're feeling good and you're getting back into form. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping you have a great show on Wednesday.
Well, you know, hey, come in and, you know, tune in and listen, man.
I'll try to tune in.
Yeah. And so yeah. You know, I just want to say, you know, take care of yourself. Look out for your friends and family. Look out for those people who like you.
That's what I try to do.
Yeah. but I want all the listeners to do that. Look out for those people who like you.
Yeah.
Right? And well, if there's someone you haven't said hello to in a long time, pick up the phone, give them a call, see how they're doing. It could make a difference. And I'm talking about myself. Yeah, exactly. And I'm talking about myself. Because I can shut it down. I could be like, man, fuck this. I'm going to just stay in the house and out here in the desert, I can, out here in Arizona and desert, I can do that. So, these are things so everything that I'm telling you good folks tonight, it also applies to me. Because there are people that believe in me. And, I want to pass that on so I can believe in other people. I think that's what my mother would want me to do. And I think that's what my daughter would want me to do. And I know that's what my stepmother would want me to do as well. So, Sean, it was real, man.
That was great having you on.
Thanks, man. I'm glad you had me on, and I hope that anyone who's listening tonight, that they walk away with something that they can apply to their own personal lives. Because I'm not a perfect human being, and if I'm still striving to be better, if I'm striving to be better, then hey, I want everybody else to strive to be better, because that's what I say at every end of my broadcast. Always strive to be a better person each and every day of your life. And I mean that. It also means myself. Sean, thank you. This was great. This was awesome. I had a good time. We must do this again soon.
That was great having you on, Mr. Chris.
Thank you.
All right. With all that said, I'm going to wrap up tonight's show. And again, want everybody to head over to Amazon and put in your pre-orders for the SJS Direct 2026 books. And also head over to Lulu and check out John Haynes at Death's Door and all the other books on the SJS Direct universe. And I'm glad to have Mr. Chris on the air tonight. And I hope you'll be able to come back one more time. And I hope you'll be there for next week's stream. And I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And everybody have a good evening and everybody have a good night.